Good morning, everyone. We are testing the Cube Go Live first of all.
Hello friends, are you
Good morning,
Good morning,
everyone.
everyone.
We are testing the Cube Go. Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll start now. Hope everybody is able to see my screen.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, good
Okay.
morning, everyone. We'll fine. So today we will move to the semantic model. Now, till now we have loaded the data. We have got the data into the lake houses or warehouses, and now we would like to analyze that data. So hope those who have missed out who has watched the class. And there are two files which I'm going to give you. One file is already available on GitHub, which you do need to do as an assignment. And the second file I recently modified that I'm also going to upload on the GitHub and inform you either on the WhatsApp or WhatsApp channel, or I'll also maybe post the links here. So you have to see what kind of transformation you do in the file. And then later on for those files, I'll post the a transformation. For one of the file, it is already available on the channel. For the second file, the transformation are not available anywhere. So once you spend little time on that, then I'm going to share that with you. For today's exercise, let everybody open the workspace again. Now, those of you still able to create the workspace, you can create a new workspace uh, because the ideal practice is that we should have a new workspace in which we create our reporting. So those of you having access, they can what they can do is they can go to the workspaces, and let me do one thing. Let me change the screen size first. Hope everybody is able to see my screen still. It should be blank. Now again the screen is coming. Okay. So those who want to create on one more workspace, what they can do is they can go to new workspace and create a reporting workspace. And you can call it say with your name or ID, Amit hyphen report. Okay. Go down, advance, and some of those who missed out this trial. Now, if you are unable to do that, you can ask me to create workspace because for some of you, even the pro trial might have expired and you are not able to create the workspaces. Typically, when we start the trial of Fabric, we do get a PPU kind of a license so that we are able to create the workspaces. But not everybody able to start the trial, and then rest of the people can start a PPU trial or a pro trial. But even if you are unable to start, you may not be able to create the capacity. So you can let me know. I can get it. Now choose the tenant which you are using, one of these 5 tenants, and then click on apply. So capacity, you have to choose one of the 5 capacities, a trial, a license mode, one of the 5 capacities, and click on apply. Those who have the paid capacities, typically in your organization, when you're creating, you might have a paid capacity. So you can choose Fabric instead of trial, and you can use that. Now, once this new workspace is created, and those who don't have the separate workspace unable to create as of now, what you can do in your existing workspace, you can click on new item, and we'll create another lake house. Now this lake house only we are creating for reporting purpose. We are only going to create shortcuts from other lake houses or warehouses. So I'm click on this lake house. I'm going to call it reporting, and lake houses schemas, I'll enable that. So reporting lake house I'm creating, or you can call it reporting lake house or reporting LH, depending on the um, organization naming standard. I'm only calling it reporting as of now. So once your lakehouse is creating the reporting lakehouse, you should be again landed on the lakehouse explorer with the empty UI. And to identify, you can see on the right top, you are on the lakehouse explorer. Now on the tables, you can go click on three dots or ellipsis icon and click on new schema, and you can create a master schema. Now again, naming standard, title case are all small based on the organization. I created a master schema. Now in your organization, these schemas could be based on your business areas like sales, finance, purchase, etc. You may have a separate master lakehouse itself. But in my case, I don't have that. So I'm creating it here. Uh, or maybe you do have a master, but you create a master in the reporting lakehouse because of the reason you wanted to shortcut all those tables here. Then the second one, which you are going to create another new schema, which is facts. So master and facts schemas are created. Now, most hope just go ahead and try these out. In case you don't have permission to create another workspace in the same workspace, create lakehouse. Those who are still unable to do it, but let me know by evening. I'll give you additional workspaces. Next class would be the last class in this series. And so those who are unable to practice till now, let me know because they are unable to create workspaces, they are still facing challenges with logins. I'll help you out to resolve so that you can practice for another couple of weeks before we, stop all these IDs. So those who are doing it along with me, they can start sharing their screenshot. Those who are on YouTube, they can just confirm, okay, done. Now you got the schemas. What you are going to do here? You are going to bring in tables, shortcut tables. Now, why I'm doing so? Why I'm creating this shortcut lakehouse? Why I can't use the existing data lakehouse? So typically, we usually separate out our reporting schema and data schema. You might have done that also in the past. So we keep data in one workspace and we keep reports in another workspace. So two workspaces we will have. We will have our reporting workspace. We will have our data workspace. Now that separation is good. But one more reason why that separation was good. Then you can say why didn't we created a semantic model separately and bought it here and do it. Now we are doing this lakehouse stuff, shortcut lakehouse, because the shortcut lakehouse use the capacity of this particular workspace. So what I could have eventually done is here in this workspace, I can use a different capacity than I was using in that particular workspace. And it's going to consume the compute unit of that particular capacity. Now, why it is so important that I take care of, which capacity it can use for reporting. There are organizations where, you might say that, okay, for the reporting, we need a separate capacity because our ETLs are so dynamic or so resource consuming that we want a separate capacity for data engineering and we want separate capacity for reporting. Please note, capacities can be given based on departments. Capacities can be given based on, the activities like we are doing data engineering versus reporting, or there could be some other mechanism. So to enable this one, we are creating a lakehouse in a separate workspace. And also, sometime we are not going to give access to anyone in this workspace. We are going to give them access only on the app and the semantic model. So you created a workspace, you might not give access to anyone here. You may only give access to the app. So these things you can take care. Now you know that if I change the capacity of this workspace, people will be able to use the capacity which is assigned to this workspace. Let's move ahead and start adding the tables. So master tables. So from where I'll get it? I'm not going to create any new tables here. I'm going to create a new table shortcut. the three dot ellipsis icon in front of schemas. Those who forgot to create schema wise, they can simply do it in front of tables. New schema shortcuts from where we are going to bring the table. Right now I have my all the tables here only in this Microsoft Fabric. So Microsoft One Lake, and in the One Lake, if you remember, we have Lake 01 in and Warehouse 01. I think masters are in Lake 01 and sales table was in Warehouse 02, and we have multiple tables of versions of that. So let's click and identify. So Lake 01, and if I remember, we bought it using Git. So Git customer, Git item, Git geography, and then Git sales is a shortcut here. But I'm going to bring it from warehouse again to showcase you. So all these Git uh, customer geography item, click on next, and you can rename. So I can remove this Git now. So how did I rename? I click on this pencil icon and I renamed it. So first I entered into the shortcut UI, chosen the One Lake, and after One Lake, I have chosen the three tables I want. On that day, I renamed it as Git customer, Git geography, Git item. These are the three tables I bought it. Those who missed out, they can bring it again. But right now, you can continue watching what I am doing. So three master tables I got. Let me click on create. Then so once our master tables are added, now we would like to have a fact table also. So that's the next step I'm going to do. But those of you who are already all set for their master tables, they can bring in and they can start sharing the screenshot. If you have any question, unable to do that, you can go ahead, you can let me know, and or you can ask the questions. But the one thing is compulsory that you should have bought them in the past, or you should have loaded the data. If you have some little different data, you can also load that. Make sure that the icon looks like this. If there is any other mistake, that things might appear here as unidentified, click a refresh either here or here. In the front of tables, you should have refresh option in the ellipsis icon, or in the front of schemas, you should have refresh to do that refresh if something is not looking. Now, after you are done with that, you're going to repeat the same exercise for facts, new table shortcut, Microsoft One Lake, and this time I'm going to go to warehouse in my 01 workspace, which I created previously. Next, tables, DBO, Git sales. We do have a fact sales, but Git sales. Now remember, we do have fact sales coming from different sources. We do have loaded some tables from the sample data. We loaded tables using data pipeline. We use it, we have loaded data also even using notebooks. Just be careful which one you are loading. And then I'm going to rename it into this UI, new shortcut UI, and commit the change, save, or close. Close might not save the changes. So I'm going to click here on save, and then I'm going to click on the create button below. And once I click on that, I will have now my fact table also. I'm all set with my facts and dimension table. The only table missing is the date table. Now date table you can either create in Dataflow Gen 2 or on a warehouse using SQL, or you can use PySpark code. But for time being, I'm going to skip that. We have this new semantic model on the top on the home tab of Lakehouse. And now you have to remember that we already got a release notes sometime back that default semantic models will go away. So the only choice you have is the new semantic model. So you have to create new semantic model or custom semantic model. Or in the future, we may call it just semantic model because there is no default semantic model. So I'm going to create a new semantic model. This UI is available in the home tab of Lakehouse Explorer, or when you go to SQL Analytics endpoint, you will also get it into the reporting. tab or reporting ribbon. New semantic model. Inside the new semantic model, you have to choose the tables. If you have everything in your schema, you can click on the tables, it will choose all. So right now I have everything in my schema, so I'm doing that. Also, you have to give a name on the top. So name on the top, selection of the table at the bottom. You can even use search. You can use the workspace name which you want. So I can, while creating, it is not that I need to create it into the lakehouse schema. I can still create it in little different schema also. So I'm creating it in Amit report, but you can choose a different one. If you are using two-tier architecture, means one for data and one for semantic model and report, you can create it in reporting. If you are following the one tier architecture, means only data and reporting everything together, then in that same workspace. If you are following three-tier architecture where you have data, semantic model and reporting in three places, then it will go into the semantic model workspace. Each one has their own advantages and maintenance ways. Now let's enter this one. This is SM01, or we can call sales SM01. And I'm going to click on confirm. It should open a new page, or it should open a page here itself where I will have my semantic model displayed to me. Sometime the new UI does not pop up. It doesn't mean it has errored out. We have to just go to the workspace and find out the semantic model. So we'll wait it just till the time it redirects us to the UI. Meanwhile, you guys can create semantic model. You got this semantic model. Most of you should have got it, I'm assuming. And those who got it, they can share the screenshot, or they can type in the chat window, reached. Now we need to create the relationship. How do we create the relationship? Because see, this entire stuff what we are doing here, the reason for doing is this: we found when we wanted to do analysis. Analysis is going to happen on Power BI. And in Power BI, unlike like our SQL or Spark SQL or PySpark, I'm not going to tell the relationship every time I'm going to create a visual. So the relationship need to be created in advance. And that is what we have the semantic model here. This semantic model is a direct lake semantic model. So if you go here, model which is written on the right, if it is closed, you can open it using this arrow. And when you look at the properties of the semantic model, you go and you will see direct lake behavior. It's automatic, or you can make it direct lake only. Fine. Now let's start creating the relationship. The other way is to start it from desktop. I usually prefer that because when I start from desktop, I can ensure that I can work with lake house, warehouse. So from there, what you have to do is you have to go to one lake catalog and start it. Now we'll start joining. First table I see item. So item ID present in both the tables. So item ID of this table versus item ID of sales. Drag item ID from sales to item, drag and drop. Okay? Drag and drop. And then it will automatically detect cardinality. In case item is above and sales is below, it should be one to many relationship. One means table on the one side doesn't have duplicates on the joining column. In case item is above, it is many to one, change it one to many. In my case, sales is above, so I'll keep it many to one. And item is second table, so one is on the item side. Cross directional filter is single. It means item table is going to filter sales. If I make it both, it means any changes, any filter on the sales table will also filter item table, especially prices. Make relationship active. Ideally, all the relationship we are creating, unless we are creating inactive relationship, should be active. Assume referential integrity. I'm leaving as of now. So the first join is created, as you can see here. I'm just doing some little bit of arrangement. And here, if you are, you can actually zoom in and zoom out. And sometimes it doesn't happen. Like, let's say if it's a very big schema, there are new layout tabs below. I can use those and also create relationship there. Yes, one to many and many to one works in the same way. The only thing is the many table in both the cases should be sales in our case. So the fact table should be on many side. The master table or the dimension table should be on the one side. The relationship is just like, your left join and right join. Who falls on which side? It is just okay because the sales was first, so many. Sales was second, so one many. Same way you can connect city ID with city ID. And if you don't feel comfortable in drag and drop, you can click on this manage relationship between. And here you can click on new relationship and manually adds the table. Let's say geography, sales, city ID, city ID. One to many, single directional relationship. Click on save. And you can see relationship created. Now, whatever way you liked from the two, you can go ahead and create third relationship, which is customer ID to customer ID relationship. And the customer ID is in the sales table. So customer ID to customer ID. Sales is on the sales is first table, customer is second table. So many to one, click on save. You should have all these three relationship created. Please check it out. Now there is only one thing which is missing, which is the date table. So I already have blogs as well as videos on that. Those who looked at the Power Query video can create it using Power Query. I do have a blog on Medium to create it using SQL. And now we have been supported with the DEX table, which we can create. Now, ideally, I would not prefer to create DEX tables. They are kind of import mode tables. But yes, as we are supported, we can create it. So I'm going to go ahead and create a date table in DEX. Now I'll go tell you the basic method to create, but rest of the thing I'm going to do using the script. So I'm going to give you the basic script onto the chat window. You might have to play around with the dates a little bit because those dates could be a little different. First of all, I would like to know what dates it belongs to. So I would like to create a new report before I go ahead and create my date table. So why don't we create a very simple report and find out what dates I have? Maybe let's check if these things are working. So while I have given on the date table script to you, let's first, before creating even the date table, just go and validate it. Let me give it on the YouTube also. And I saw one question in YouTube. Can I know where do you get data from OneDrive? Sorry, OneLake. So OneLake data we have already loaded. Now, if you are asking for download, then you can use OneLake Explorer, or you can even configure pipelines. Now, those of you who wanted to know more about all these things, I have already created a course for you. which will actually include some additional videos from the recorded one, which I have recorded in the past. What I've done, all of them I put at one place. So you can subscribe so that you don't have to ask what next. Whatever is not covered is part of this series. I already covered that. Okay, so let's quickly create a report. File, create new report. The option has been moved. Those who watch little older videos, please remember the option was coming here in the home tab itself, create report. Now, if you see some old video, they talk about create report from the home tab, somewhere in the home tab. The option has been moved to file. Also, there is an option on the right top for editing and viewing. This was also not available previously. So maybe when you open this semantic model second time from your workspace, it opens in viewing mode. It may not open in the editing mode. So from right top, you are going to make it editing. And from the left top, file, create new report. So let me click on create new report. Two reason I came here. One, I just wanted to test is my model working. Second, I also wanted to know the dates I have so that I can create my date table. So simple is drag item brand onto the empty space on the canvas. If your report is open, you should get this kind of UI. If you didn't get it, try new report again. And then you can drag something like quantity. Or if we got gross amount, we can also drag it. Those who got correct set of table, they should see numbers like this. These two numbers are very important if you have got the correct tables. Now, if you're not getting something with the brand, item brand, it means you might have choose the different sales table. We have loaded different sales table. The item IDs are not matching. If you are getting the same number everywhere, this 10 million, it means your join is either inactive or is not created. So when the join is not created, it means you're going to get all the values. If you are getting no values or if you are getting all the values against blank, it means the IDs are not matching or there is some other problem is the data, complete data is not matching. Now, this is the first visual I created. I also want to know the dates I have. So what I can do is from sales table, I can bring in sales date here. And it is by default sorted here. If I have some doubt, I can do the sorting. So I have data from 2018 and I sort ascending, sort descending, double again click on this till 2020. So these are the dates for which I need the data. So I can start my calendar from 2018 and can end it on 2020. Okay, so let's learn a little bit of DEX now. Come back to your semantic model. Hopefully the report has opened on the separate tab. But if by mistake you have opened it on same tab, you can again go back and open your semantic model from the workspace. Make sure it is in editing mode, not in the viewing mode. You can also edit this directly from desktop using this. Before that, make sure you have logged in using the ID. Like in case you are using the BI World IDs, you have logged in into the Power BI desktop using BIWorld.in. Or if you are using your organizational ID, you can do that. Now, I need to create a new table. My preference would always be to create these using Dataflow Gen 2, Spark or Spark SQL, or maybe T-SQL. But just to showcase you that we can do it here, I'm going to create a new table. Now, once I create on the new table on the home tab, and this option is a little different from your desktop. You might have seen it at different place. I'll give a table a name on the left hand side, and I can press Control and the middle mouse button, the scroller, to make it a little bigger so that you can see it. Date. Typically, that's what we call date table. And the first thing I'm going to use is calendar function. I'm explaining you from the basics, and then we'll use the script which I given to you. Calendar. The calendar function can create a date table with giving two date arguments. Calendar auto can automatically create. In this case, calendar auto will suffice because we only have one fact. But when we have multiple fact, we can face an issue because of the circular dependencies. So prefer using calendar. We have various methods to know min dates, like min of a fact or all those things we can do. Or based on the knowledge of the system, So calendar date, first argument is required a date. So I'll use a date function. So date, now year, what year I want? 2018. If you have seen the dates for starting, is the first argument year, 3 argument it require. Second argument is again month, which is 01. And third argument is day 01, date. So date 2018 01 01. Second argument is also a date. So date, which is end date in this case. So start date, now end date. Where is the data ending? 2020. It was ending in October, but I can take till December 12, 31. Typically, when we create it till the end of the data or end of the year or till today. Depending on our needs, we can have the end dates at different places. And once you click on that, it is going to create a date table. Now this table, date table, you have only one column date, and definitely you need more columns. Now there are two ways to go from here. You can keep on clicking on new column, new column, new column, and keep on doing those formulas. That's another way. And then second way is the scripting way. Why can't I use the function add columns, which allows me to add the columns in the table and keep on adding those? And that is what script I have already given it to you. So we can use that script. I'll just tell you how to create one column, and post that we will do the copy paste of that script. Make sure that you correct the years if required. The range should be more than this, not less than this. All the dates should be. Hopefully you have created the date table. First experiment should give you table like this. And after we learn how to create add columns, we are going to use the script which I have already given it to you in the chat window. Now new columns are only possible for DEX tables. The tables which are either created via DEX or the table we are able to load. Let's say tomorrow they give a facility to add a table, directly import it here somewhere. We got a facility, we can do it here. Only for the table which are created in the semantic model. The table which are created in the semantic model, you can add new columns. Those will include field parameters. Those will include calculation group. And I've shown in the past why do we need additional columns in the field parameters and in calculation group on the channel video. We can make them more flexible using that. So we have field parameters here. We also have the uh, calculation groups here. Now, just to learn a little more on the date table, we'll continue here. I'm going to add a function add columns. Add columns can add columns to the table. What is the table? Table is the calendar table coming from the calendar function, or the date table, comma, name of the column, shift enter or alt enter will take you to the next line. If you simply press enter, it will commit and might give error. So those who got error can come back again, click shift enter. Then the column name, I can create a month year column. Now month year is a special column because in Power BI, there is no identification of month year. So we need to create actually two columns, month year in the text format, which is like hyphen y. And the second column would be month year sort, which is going to help us to sort the column. So whenever we cannot sort a column correctly, because it's a text column and Power BI doesn't understand like month year or something, we can give a sort column. We are going to learn little later, but let's create month year column. How do we create? There is a function format. You can format numbers, which can format dates. So this function we are going to use format date also. First argument is a date or a value. In this case, it's a date. Second argument is format, and third is local. Means like let's say you want to use EN English or EN Britain. If there are certain changes in that, you can use. So here M hyphen y 4 times, y 3 times, month means going to give Jan Feb March. 4 times means January February complete. Once you completed your function with two arguments which are necessary, then you can close the parentheses of add columns and press enter. You will get a new column in your date table month year. Now those who are done, now they can go ahead and use my script to completely replace this date table with the script I have given to you. In YouTube, it is given in more than one go. In chat here in the Teams, I have already given you in one go. Just press enter. It is going to create little additional dates. If you require, you can change it to 2020. And instead of 10, you can use 12 also. And this is the commit button. You can. Now I have a full-fledged date table available with me. Few things I can do. One is, how do I change the sort column? Because we know month here is not going to sort correctly. So we need to do that. We can mark it as a date table and we can join it. So quickly make sure that your date table is created, and you can ask the questions if you are facing challenges, and then we are going to create a join. Those who know a little bit of Power BI, please go ahead and create the join with the sales date. And you can start sharing the screenshots if you have already done with that. So let's go ahead and do that now. So what I'm going to do now, first thing, I'm going to click on month year column, the column which I want to change the sort. Go to properties, scroll down, go to advanced, scroll down, sort by column, month year, sorted by month year sort. So a text column which cannot be sorted correctly, we use a numeric month year column for that. Direct lake scheduler. I don't think scheduler will be there in properties. Direct lake is was just in the inside the model. Here, if you go semantic model, you see the direct lake behavior. It should be automatic by default. So back to the table, date table. Now, why does this column we have chosen? If you see here, the format is YYYMM for this one. In some of my videos on the channel, I do have shown you how to create it completely numeric by casting it, or you can take out year, multiply it by 10,000 and add the months. Or so, couple of methods create it. But in any case, even the text YYYMM is sortable, correct sortable. Same way I have year, quarter, week, month and month sort. Again, month you can sort on month sort. Again, click on month, properties, advanced, month should be sorted on month sort. Please be careful, don't sort month on month here sort and month sort. This need to be one-to-one mapping. Now Power BI doesn't allow if this mapping is not one-to-one mapping. Sometimes you do come across where you might not have this mapping one-to-one and may have a question around it. But right now Power BI doesn't support if this mapping is not one-to-one. One-to means every month need to have 1 month here sort. Every month here need to have 1 month here sort, and 1 month here sort need to refer to only 1 month. This is how it need to work. So date table correction has been done in terms of columns. You can go to the date table, click on the three dots and mark as date table, switch it on, choose the date column which should be date, and then you can click on OK. So here on the three dots, mark as date table on and date. There was an option mark as date table. You've used that and click on save. Once you are done, this is going to ensure that you have continuous dates, and this date table will help you in time intelligence. So it is ensuring that you have continuous dates, and it means that you can use this as a date table. There is no breaks, and marking is date table is that's ensuring that thing that there are continuous set of date and time. You can work with time intelligence. Those who want to join, those who have not done the join, drag the date on the sales date and again create one to many or many to one depending on which side you drag. So date table is first. This is going to be one to many and save it. You cannot create two column join in Power BI. Same is true for the semantic model, direct lake semantic model. No, even if you don't mark it as date table, it is not going to impact. So the question is, if I don't mark it as a date table, is going to impact? No, you can still go ahead and do your time intelligence. It's a best practice to mark it as a date table, which ensures you have continuous dates. So your join should have one more table now, date table. So your schema is now looking like this with four tables. I'm just reorganizing it. It is not needed, but just for a little bit of more clarity. Or I can zoom in a little bit, zoom out a little bit to showcase you a big the entire tables in one place. Now we can start a new report. Those who have closed out those that report, create a new report, or those who have not done that, they can go back to the report, and now we can start using the new columns. Now for me, like when I came to this report, it automatically refreshed. If it doesn't, you have a refresh icon, third last icon on the right top. You can use that if you don't see your table or the new column. Now here what I can do is let me keep it as is. We create a little space. Now I can drag the date table, date into the empty space, date tables, date into the empty space, and I can bring in quantity. Now I got this visual. I can convert it into a line visual. I should see the visualization pane here. And as you can see, I got a trend chart. Same way you can create these different kind of visualizations. Again, Power BI desktop is a little stronger compared to the web UI. I usually prefer to connect to this semantic model and create all these things. Power BI desktop. They're not going to cover the visualization here, but those who are interested in the Power BI visualization, as usual, I'll recommend go ahead and watch that 20-hour video. I have covered all the visualization in great details. Some UI options might have changed over a period of time. So you can go ahead and just adjust to that. See, after we see there is for us it will be really less difference after you created the model. So once you created the same model, which I also use in that 20-hour video, whatever we are doing on the visualization or measures and everything is going to remain same. Direct lake mode is very similar to import mode in terms of measure creations and visualization and everything. It doesn't have the limitations of direct query mode, so that this is not supported or that is not supported. Everything which is supported with import mode does support with direct lake mode. But just a caution, I have seen in some cases the time intelligence measures do not work as expected, and I have to use additional all on the date table. That you will learn as you move forward. You will see, okay, YTD is not working or something is not working. Then how to. So just let's add one more visual. So category, drag it into the empty space, or you can create a new page. Again, page is below here. I'm hopeful everybody understand Power BI a little bit. So there's a new page. So in Power BI, what we call a report is typically a dashboard in the entire world, because dashboard is something which contain multiple visual slicers and everything. It is not like uh, something which is one visual as a page. That's not what we have in the Power BI. So every page is kind of a dashboard. You can add a new page. There I can use first I can click on a pie visual. I will have a pie. Then I can drag category on top of it. And then with that I can have gross amount. Now right now, the moment I drag it on the values or I drag it the numeric value on the chart visual, it automatically summarize it. You can see sum of gross sales. If needed, you can also rename it here, or we could have renamed it at the semantic model level. We are going to learn in a short while. Now, if you want to filter the data, you can have slicers. Click on the empty space and add slicers. Let's say I want to filter the brands. So I can drag the brand here, and now I can filter. Control click for multiple value selection. behavior can be changed from format selection. Okay. Multi-selection, single select, kind of slicer, tile, drop down, etc. And then there are filters. Visual level filter means it's going to filter the visual. Page level filter, just like slicer is going to filter all the page, the complete page. Filter on all pages means you can filter multiple pages. If I put a filter here in this one, I can drag like say brand. And now if I filter the brand, let's say brand 1, it's filtered across pages. I'm not getting the value because you have selected brand 13. I remove it, you see brand 1 here. If you come, you also see brand 1 here across all the pages. And I can remove it from every page. Like I applied on page 2, I can come back and remove page 1. So that's all pages. Slicers. Why we use slicers when we have filters? Slicer, you can change the interaction. So right now it is filtering. I can change this behavior not to filter or not to filter also I can do. So that is why we prefer sometimes slicers so that we can change some of the visuals are not going to like slicer. We call this as interactions. Again, we will not be able to cover this, but you can go ahead and learn that. You will have an option here somewhere to view interactions, and you should be able to change that. Now we'll go back to the model again. Those of you have some question you can ask right now. Just try out creating some visuals, play around a little bit because we are going to learn few more things. First of all, we have we not learned how to create a new calculated column, which is not going to prefer in direct lake mode. First, secondly, it is not available with the direct lake tables. It is only available with the import mode table or the text tables. But we are going to create measures a lot. Most probably, I'm not going to use sum of gross sales amount, something like that. I will always use a measure because there is something known as calculation group. And if I want to use calculation group, I'll not be able to use implicit measures. The moment I dragged it here and it created sum of gross sales, it is known as implicit measure. We always prefer explicit measures. Now let's go back to the model. I don't see any question here nor on the chat window. How to allow DEX to identify the date based on sales data automatically without hard coding in the date table. Calendar auto you can use. Somebody has asked how do you automatically calendar auto. Somebody is asking about career path in data analytics. The data analytics has a really huge career path. The reason is while the AI is growing, to have AI in our organization, you need to have clean data, and the clean data or the data which is in a consumable shape is only going to be bring out by data analytics team. And here we are learning Microsoft Fabric, which is a data analytics tool. Hope you have the complete series link. You watch this complete series or the course which I have created so that you can learn this completely. Now, if you're using the course, be aware that other than the live, some of the UIs are a little old. We are back on the semantic model after answering a couple of questions. Now, I would like to teach you something which is measures. What is measure? Measure is basically a calculation which is done at the runtime. So you just create a definition. It is not going to store. Now here in direct lake mode, anyway, we are not storing anything on the semantic model, but we do store the date table. This date table is part of the semantic model, which is practically created and it do going to consume some space in the semantic model. But we did see a calculated column, which are only possible in case of the tables which are created in DAX, or we create columns like field parameters or calculation. Now I would like to add a measure here. To add a measure, what I can do is I can click on the sales table. Now while column belongs to a table, measure belongs to model. I can create a calculation, let's say quantity multiplied by price gross amount, which can actually reside in item table also. So that is why you need to be careful. You can, click on the sales table and do it. Or sometime what we do is we create an empty table. We simply go ahead and click on new table here and create an empty table known as measure simply and come out. So you can see a measure table, it's an empty table with one column. And now I'll click on this table and I'm going to create my measure. Now my names, if you see here, is not the greatest name I have. And the reason I'm not renaming some of those names, I'm not going to use that. But if you go to, let's say, item table, you can rename this item by double clicking or going to properties as item name, not the name. Same way, if you want to use brand ID, you should have the name as brand space name. So all those renames need to be done. So renaming like month sort. I don't want to show that, so I can hide it. I don't want to show month and month year sort. So I can hide it by clicking on the I column. Month year already have space, quarter year already have space, week year, weekday already doesn't have a space. I can add a space, weekday, or I can leave it like this, or I can make DS small. Here is already title case. That's fine. So again, brand ID, if I don't want to use, I can hide that. Now when I hide, it is only hidden from reporting. You can still use them in creation of your measures. Back to the major table, empty table. It has nothing. I'm going to click on this on the home tab here. Little different from Power BI desktop. I have a new measure. And in this new measure, I'm going to create my first measure, which is gross. And it's a very simple measure because I already have gross amount. And those who doesn't have, I'll tell you the little different method little later. Sum of gross amount. What I'm doing, I'm creating a new measure, sum of gross amount, and where I'm creating into the measure table. Once the definition is there, I can click on the commit and the measure is created. Now I already have a calculation here, isn't it? And the calculation was line level calculation. If you remember, I did talk about that this calculation quantity multiplied by price is item level. We need to calculate it at every row level. And we have already done this in Power Query. But what happens if we forgot some transformations, the row level transformation? Because I can't do sum of quantity multiplied by sum of price. Now also this sum function doesn't allow me quantity multiplied by price. Try that out. So how do I do such calculations which are row level calculations? Isn't it? So there are functions which are known as iterator functions or the function which are ending with x. They allows you to row level calculation. I don't have something known as COGS here. Cost of goods sold is nothing but cost multiplied by quantity. So I'm going to create that. For that, again, I'm going to click on the measure table or any measure in the measure table. And I'm going to create a new measure. I'm going to call it as COGS. Be careful. The table name is also measure. And when you create new measure, it also shows you measure. So be little cautious or keep your table name as measure table so that you can easily differentiate. Sum X, expression, table name first is. Now this is a table which is you can call a table on the model or physical table, but it could be a virtual table, one you are going to create in the table expression only. Then the expression is something which you want to give here. If you are using, if you are not using columns, if you are using combination of aggregations and the measures, then you need to give calculate here. But right now I'm only using columns, so I can simply give quantity, sales quantity, multiply by cost, sales cost. So this is going to do the calculation at the row level and going to give us the result at the higher level. So it's going to iterate and give us the results. Once you have some measures in the measure table, you can hide the only column you have, which you got by default. Just hide it and you will see the measure table moves on the top. And this is what we call measure table. It has this icon, special icon for measures. You might have noticed this icon was there previously. But usually it is now started giving as soon as you call it as a measure table. But we can have a table without name as measure also. So you have two measures. If required, you can also add a third measure. Click on again measure. And let me give the calculation of COGS first of all to you. I'm going to create one more major. Click new major and I'll call it as discount. There are multiple majors you can create. In 20 hours, I've explained you all the majors which you need. Sales. I'll use the gross amount which we calculated. Could have used gross, but I want to use gross amount. Multiply by discount percentage, and I'll divide that by 100 because it's absolute discount percentage, and I'll have discount amount. This is the third measure I'm going to create. Like while I can create all the measure like discount percentage, margin percentage, net sales, etc. I'm leaving that as of now. Now, you can go to the report and use these things. But just to save us the time, I just want to explain you one feature, which is parameters, which can help us in creating a parameter slicer. It can also help us in creating the access slicer. So access slicer or major slicer, two things we can create. Now calculation groups also allows us to combine the majors and create major slicer. It also allows us to minimize the number of majors by using common calculation using selected major. Okay. So, but when we use calculation group, after that we'll not be able to use implicit majors. The quantity, all those things will get error of sum of quantity. So let me showcase you calculation group. So be careful when after you use calculation group, anywhere you have used quantity, sum of quantity or all those will go away. So I'm clicking here and it's giving warning that discourage implicit measures. I say, okay, I'm fine with that. Now create the calculation group. So the moment it created a calculation group, it given some names and everything, and you can see it's given me a calculation item which contains selected measure. It can work with all the selected measure. So the first example is basically when you want to minimize the number of measures. So I can call this as MTD, the calculation item. See, I'm here on the calculation item, right hand side. Please pay attention. I have not renamed the calculation group anything in this hierarchy. I'm going to do that later. And I'm going to put here calculate selected measure, comma, dates, MTD. There is a function, dates MTD, which is going to give me month till date value. That's what I'm going to use. And I can use date of date table there. Some people do use their own tables, but it may not work if it doesn't have continuous date. So that is why we need. So I created MTD here. I will create one more. Click on this calculation group first of all. Calculation group, the second one, and you can rename it as TI, time intelligence, or you can call it time intelligence, so that you understand. So I got MTD. Now I click on the calculation items, which is written here. Oh, close my tab by mistake. So now what I have to do is I need to open a new tab. Everything is saved, nothing is lost. Don't worry about it. Go back to my workspace. Okay, today I'm using the report workspace, and I'm going to open the semantic model. Please watch this carefully. Now it doesn't open directly. I have to again go and click on open semantic model. And here what I have is basically if I want to refresh the semantic model manually, and I've explained you in the past that semantic model refresh sometimes is required when catch up with the delta files. It get automatically refreshed, but if it is not or if it is disabled, then you can do it manually. Now I'm back here. I'm on the tables model calculation group. I'm going to go. So in the model calculation group, TI calculation items, if I click, I see MTD. Now why I'm not able to edit? I told you by default it opens it in the viewing mode. Good that it got closed. We have an example here. Click on editing. Now here I click on calculation group. add new calculation group, and I again going to make it a little larger for you. QTD, calculate, selected measure, comma, dates, MTD. I'm not going to use dates MTD, I'm going to use dates QTD, date of date. I only created 2 items. Usually I create more than these 2. You can watch more on calculation groups video, both available for directly semantic model as well as import mode. Selected measure, we have to experience it when we go to the report, and whatever measures you have dragged inside your visual, for all of those is going to create QTD and MTD. So to understand this, how selected measure works, let's go back to our report. We have 2 items. I go back to my report, and some of these visual, the moment I refresh, may not work. So be careful about that. So I'm here on my second page. Luckily, this visual is still working. But let's bring in a matrix visual. This is matrix visual. Click, bring it in empty space, make it little bigger. And then what we are going to do is we are going to bring brand, and then I'm going to bring 2 measures or all the 3 measures into the values: gross, discount, COGS. And go to TI and bring the calculation group on the columns. You don't see anything. So you see QTD here. Now why only QTD value? Because we have not selected any date, and we don't have data for MTD in the month of December 2020 because we have data till October. Now to bring that data, what I can do is I can bring month here, and I can create a slicer. I can go down and select, let's say, September. I got MTD data also, QTD data. September 2020 have data for month as well as I could have used October 2020 or any date. I got MTD and QTD. Why does they behave like this, MTD, QTD? I have already explained in my time intelligence videos or 20-hour video. Watch that. So this is what selected measure does. All the measures which you have here, for all these measures, it is going to take that measure, the selected measure. This is your selected measure. It's going to do the calculations which we have defined using selected measure. So it's saving you the measure creation. I could have created 3 measures for gross, discount, and cost for MTD and 3 for QTD. This is one utilization. In another one, I could have simply added these measures, create the measure slicer. Same way, I could have used field parameters to do that, create the measure slicer. But creating measure slicer with calculation group is a little different, but doing it using field parameters. So try this out. Now let's go back. I'm going to quickly tell you the other way where I could have created a access slicer, sorry, measure slicer using calculation group. I'm not going to teach you the same using field parameters. So we have option here. You can try by yourself. So calculation group, I'm going to click here on the calculation group. I see this new calculation group, or in the middle of the screen calculation group. And this calculation group, what I'm going to do in the calculation items, I'm going to do it a little differently. I'll call it gross only. And I'll have the gross measure, or I can have sum of gross amount. Okay. If you don't want to create a measure before, fine. Then other calculation item, I'm quickly going to add all those 3: gross, COGS, and discount. No selected measure this time, absolute measure, or you can do sum of something. And the third calculation item, again, you click on the calculation item, you add the third calculation item. That is discount, isn't it? You can rename this calculation group as measure slicer or slicer. I'm going to call it as measure slicer. So what you have to do is all 3 calculation item in this calculation group are the same as the other definition. I'm just going to give you one. You have to create in the same way. COGS is COGS. Yeah, when you create calculation group, you are going to get it blank. So first time it would be blank. Create on calculation item, click on the first calculation item and modify it. If you doesn't see calculation item, you click on the calculation item, there is a plus button. Okay, if you are getting blank on your page, report page, please add a filter. Please add a month year filter. Because some of you might have created till 2022. The reason for that, the initial script I given was till 2022. So in 2022 December, even you don't have quarter. So that is why your data is less. Because MTD, QTD functions, dates, MTD, dates, QTD take the last available date when there is no slicer. That is 31st December 2020 or 31st December 2022. There is no data in case of 2022 for both quarter and month, and no data for month in case of 2020. I'm back on the same page. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all these. Let me first do one thing. Let me create a little more space on this page by reducing this slicer. And I'm now see the major slicer. I'm going to drag it on the page here. I can see all these three major with no values. Don't worry. I'm going to make it as a slicer. Right now it is not impacting my page. You can see it do change something here, but doesn't change the values much or whatever it is doing right now. Okay. Now actually to make it work, you should remove all these. Only keep one and drag one more calculation below it and now expand. You got MTD, you got QTD, you got COGS, discount, gross, COGS, discount. So both the calculation group are there. Now you can make them above, make them below. Now some of you will have a question, how would I have category below my COGS, discount and gross? This is the way calculation group allows the measures to be converted into dimensions. Field parameter doesn't do it. Field parameter will still give you slicer, but doesn't make it as a dimension. Once it is a dimension, it can be used above a column. So I could have category below it. Okay. I can further expand it. The categories are below. You will not get it in case of field parameter. You will also not get it in case you simply have a measure. You can't bring your category below measure. Category will always be above measure. It's only the field parameter which can do that. Keep it simple. I'm and then how does this slicer help? I can click on COGS. I'm only seeing COGS. Control click on discount 2. Control click on gross 3. Only gross. Okay, so major slicer. I'm removing the slicer from my visual. I could have done the same job here instead of some of this. Now, this is what calculation group. You can have it on the, let's say, first of all, it needs to be on axis. So you need to have it here. And then you need to expand it, but still it doesn't work unless you have one major. So you at least need one major in your, okay, gross, 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 gross. Now, discount, COGS, all this. Now some manipulation would be required like. So we are now done with calculation group. Two kind of calculation groups I've shown you. One which use selected measures, saves you measure. Second is where I have all the measures or I can create measures inside the calculation and it helps me in creating measure slicer. Some of you might have heard about field parameters, which is now also available in the UI. I'm back on my semantic model, which also help me in creating measure slicer. This does two things. It creates measure slicer, but it doesn't convert measure into dimension like calculation groups. So depending on usage you can do. If you only need slicer, you can use it. It also create access slicer. Means it can convert your access into a slicers. Category brand, if I want to switch, I can do that. I would like to do that using field parameters. You can try the other one. I'm back on my semantic model on the home tab in the editing view. I go to new parameters fields. And here I'm going to give access as my parameter. And when I give access, I'm going to drag categorical variable only. From item table, I'll drag bar brand, category, subcategory, and from geography, state and city. Drag and drop here, left to right. So click on new parameters, field, called it field parameters. New name, track categorical variables. Don't combine categorical and major variable. Don't track quantity and expect it is going to do sum of quantity. No, then it is an access. Once you are done, click on create. No option like desktop to edit on report because we are creating it in semantic model, which is separated out from your report now. So click on create. It does add a table here with this kind of a code. Same way you could have done it for majors. In case of major, keep all of them as majors. Don't take columns. Sum of quantity will not happen here. Need to have majors before. Now you can go back to your report. Now let's take this visual only. Category. You see here category. I'm going to remove the category. Do I see axis here? I'm going to drag the axis here. It's not doing some job here. Let's drag the axis here as a slicer somewhere in the empty space. Try to convert it into a slicer. Okay. Now sometime this could happen that your axis, when you create, it doesn't work. Drag it again. Should work in slicer. Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's refresh. Okay. Let me add a new page and try it out. It's not working. This seems a little better to me, but good to work. Let's remove. Let's add the slicer first. Now add the axis. It happens sometime. No, you drag directly table visual, it doesn't work. Now put it in again on a visual. Now not going to do that. Let me take category or pie visual. In the pie visual, let me drag it on the legend. Now you see little better data. And let me drag a major. Now you can use it from the majors or you can use it from the calculation group. Depends on the choice. You got it by brand. Now you do see this expand icon. It means all other dimensions are also available to drill down. But I can click here and change it. Brand already there by default category. Now the drill down icon is gone because one dimension available at a time because I'm checking only one. You see it is changing. If you pay attention here when I change. Brand, category, subcategory, state and city. So access slicer. Calculation group, access slicer, going to give you dynamic. You have to create a lot of measures. So practice on measures, calculation group, field parameters, time intelligence, all different kind of measures which you can create. You have to try those out. All the different kind of visualization you have to try out. It's a long way. It's a long way to if you don't know Power BI or previously or Dex previously, you have a long way to learn this because ultimately the visualization is going to happen most of the time on Power BI. And even if you want to enable your co-pilot to do the job, you need to have required measures. So with this, I'm going to open it for Q&A. Let me check it out, the questions. I don't see anything on the YouTube. If someone has a question on YouTube, please go ahead and ask now. Those who have here on the Teams, they can unmute and ask or raise their hands or type it in the chat window. Somebody has asked, is it correct that the calculation group is for measures and parameters for dimension? No, you can create field parameters for measures also. You can make both measures and dimensions dynamic using field parameters. But yes, calculation group is only for measures. Create to reduce number of measures, create measure slicer or converting measure to a dimension. All those you can do using calculation. Calculation group is exclusively for measures. Parameter is for both calculation groups. Sorry, both for measures as well as dimension or axis. So both have different jobs, but yes, parameters, the field parameters, the basic job is to convert it into a slicer or to a dimension where you can, yes, when you use it as axis, please little be careful. It may not fulfill the expectation like calculation. But before this, if you want to have access slicer, it was very difficult. You had to use bookmarks only. Otherwise, creating access slicer in Power BI was really difficult before field parameters. Major slicer was even possible using third-party tool to create calculation group. Or there are you simple table you can create, and then you can also create measures. But yes, field parameter has made it really easy, both major and access. Any other question you have? And you can watch that video, 20-hour video. Or I have a lot of videos on the channel, especially on the around calculation group and field parameters. There is a combined video around both of them using together. Okay. Any
Sir,
more questions? Yeah, please go
sir,
ahead.
can you please share the GitHub link?
Okay, give me a second.
And is it mandatory to have Power BI skill for a data engineer or Microsoft Fabric, ADF, and Synapse is sufficient?
If you are going for data engineering, Microsoft Fabric, knowing Power BI will help. Otherwise, you will restrict yourself only to data engineering portion of it. If you are in Synapse world, it is
Mm.
fine. You don't know Power BI. If you are in Azure data engineering, it's fine. You don't. But if you are in Microsoft Fabric, it's so integrated that people do expect you know Power BI. So on a
Nowadays, I'm
longer run,
getting more calls on Microsoft Fabric, but the thing is, they are asking ADF and Synapse, not much about Power BI. That is the reason I'm asking.
the reason why people ask about the ADF and the Synapse because the people, most of the people who are hiring Fabric, there is no Fabric engineer. People are learning it for last 1 year. So the only natural way to ask is if you know ADF, they can ask you some ADF questions. If you know Synapse, they can ask you Synapse question and check your data engineering. So primarily the hiring is happening on the data engineering skill, which is coming from Synapse or ADF. But if you know Fabric well,
Yes.
you can tell that I know Fabric. You can ask me questions about Fabric. I have started my data engineering with Fabric. I'm doing last let's say year or so, and I'm strong in that. And then you can avoid ADF questions because ADF there are certain things a little. So do command. But if you want to command pipelines, most of the videos you will get in ADF. Let's say if you want to know about more like a complex pipeline or you want to know dynamic pipeline using variables and all those, you get ADF. Fabric, we might not be creating those and leaving it to ADF. That is why
Which
they
is
prefer
the
Fabric.
best skill set combination, sir, as of now for as per the job market?
Fabric will become the best skill. The only thing is the people who are taking interviews may or may not be aware about the skill, so they may prefer PDF as a fit for selection or sign-ups.
Okay, sir, thank you.
But yes, if you know good, then you can call it out that okay, my data engineering Fabric. Any other question? I know. I think somebody watching on YouTube might not have the question was around how um, so the data engineering questions would happen on Fabric on ADF or Synapse happening on ADF and Synapse and reason why these are the previously existing skills which are getting interviewed out of Fabric, which is little new into the game, but suddenly after a few months you see they will asking on Fabric question and the organization becomes on Fabric. But right now the method to hire is hire a Azure data engineer, Synapse data engineer, or a person having a lot of experience in Power BI along with IT, Spark specialist. Okay, so with that, let's stop the things on YouTube. If you somebody still have questions, they can